Hey folks, we're back with Film Geeks Podcast number 3, powered by Indian Nerve. You might have guessed from the theme song, we're reviewing Star Wars Rogue One today. We'll also be talking about Shahrukh Khan's latest, Raees, and Viceroy's House, a film by Gurinder Chadha. Joining us today we have Abhishek, Anir and Mrigank from Bangalore, Pedro from Canada and Riabaki from Shillong, and I'm Arindam from Mumbai. So let's stop wasting time and get the show running. So Raees is based on a gangster called Abdul Latif. He was a bootlegger from Gujarat. He was a suspect in the 1993 Mumbai blast cases. So Abhishek, how did you find that trailer?
I thought the trailer was just by the numbers. It's fine. People are getting excited because it's Shahrukh Khan and he's not doing his Shahrukh Khan roles. So yeah, it's good. I always like Shahrukh Khan in an action role. Right. I mean, I grew up watching Dar and all of that. So, in an action role, he's fine. But then again, the trailer is just by the numbers. It's nothing special. It's just that this guy who directed Parzania is the director. Parzania is an amazing film, and the director, in fact, has done some amazing films over the past few years. They are very offbeat films, and this is his first major picture film with Red Chillies, which is Shahrukh Khan's studio. So I wish the movie pulls no punches and it doesn't devolve into a typical Bollywood masala affair, which there is a 95% chance that it will. But I'm just hoping out for the last 5% because Shahrukh Khan is overdue a good film.
Okay, Anir, what's your take on it?
I don't expect too much from this movie. I made no bones about the fact that I hate biopics. The other movie that is releasing, which Arjun Rampal is also doing, I think that looks a little bit better than this, which is I think it's called Gauli, just because it looks more closer to the character than anything. So every time people play biopic characters, they tend to try to add their own flavor to things. And then this Shahrukh Khan is too big, in at least the Indian context, to play another character other than himself, which I didn't find, by the way. So in this case, I think he's just trying to pull this character where he wants to be everything, where he is the Don, where he's the king, where he's the emperor, where he's the bootlegger, and he manages to upset the laws of nature that are there, and I don't know how it works, but he has to come out on top. That's what Red Chillies is there for, so that he comes out on top, and it pisses me off that it is like that. But that's what it is, and I'm not expecting too much from this movie at all.
Okay, Mrigank?
I don't expect much from the movie. I haven't ever from his movies for a long time, any which ways. I think the last movie of his I liked was Dawn, and But any which way, so talking only about the trailer, it's just run of the mill stuff. And you know how many Indian movies, like, they have this same pattern for the trailers, where they start off with a big dialogue, they'll have some flashy sequences of action, which then meanders into, the heroine. Maybe, she gets screen time for around 2 seconds. There's a song and dance routine, and it then ends it with a bang with another, maybe a piece of dialogue which, doesn't make sense, but, it's hard hitting, and that's what the audience is like. So the trailer as per se was not interesting to me at all. It was, you can put Salman Khan in it and maybe call it Dabangg 5 or 6 or whatever it is. It won't really change anything. It was just run of the mill for me. Yeah.
They don't seem to get the concept of nailing the tone, right? There are like around 5 different tones in that trailer itself.
Exactly. And that's the problem with all Indian movie trailers. Very rarely you'll see a trailer, unless it's maybe made by a director and who doesn't have much to lose on, because the movie is not banking on star power. Because in India, apart from just earning the money, star power is another thing, which is like really counted as a big deal. Even if it's a good movie and it doesn't have star power, they really end up becoming successful.
Speaking about trailers, I think the only trailer which took the entire audience for a loop was Hera Fairy. When it came out, I remember Arindam and I watching it as kids, and we thought that it was going to be a crime film. And when we watched the film, we were blown away, and that is probably why 90% of the audience still now consider Hera Fairy as one of the biggest comedy films, or one of the best comedy films that have come out in this country. And that is why, because we as Indians, we love to be fooled.
Correct.
We love our intelligence to be insulted, because we like to think that, okay, we understand what the heck is going on, and then when you go for a movie, it takes you for a completely different loop. And that is where the charm of films like Andaz Apna Apna and charm of films like Hera Fairy, or even a Gunda for that matter, lie, and that is a very, very, I think, an important point that we have to consider. That people somehow have forgotten the art of making trailers, not just in Bollywood. I think this is in Hollywood as well, because even if you look at trailers for Marvel films as well, some there are
very formulaic.
Yeah, but like for example, very formulaic. You know where the exact beats are going to hit.
I think in the past 2 years, the only movie which sort of did trailers right was The Force Awakens. Because it had a lot of things banking on it, definitely. But for a change, even like whatever, it had like 3 or 4 trailers, but you never got a sense of what the story was gonna be. Granted, it was able to hide its cards well, for sure. And I think even Rogue One did quite well. So at least they are taking good chance. But when you talk, as we're talking about Marvel and even DC, nobody would forget that second Batman vs Superman trailer. There was absolutely no reason to show Doomsday except maybe just to show a bit of an action sequence. And
Wonder Woman as well?
Sorry?
Was there any reason to show Wonder Woman?
No, but I think that was something that everybody knew, that she's anyways going to be a part of the movie. We have also got to consider one thing, we are not really in the 90s or early 2000s anymore. Social media is such, even when such are shooting, even if they don't want to divulge things from the set, there are random people just taking set photos and posting it online. So people always have an inkling any which ways. So it's not very easy to hide certain things, and I think Wonder Woman was pretty much guaranteed to be there since ever. But Doomsday, they could have easily kept secret because there was no real actor playing Doomsday, right? It was a CGI. They could have just kept it secret and revealed it in the end. But
I think we can just go on for days talking and nitpicking and
it's not bad.
heads over these. Wait, coming back to Indian trailers, I think one of the best trailers I've seen all year, like Hollywood included, is for a movie called Sniff. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's by Amol Gupte, the same guy who made Tare Zameen Pe and Hawa Hawaii and Stanley Ka Dabba. So his latest movie is coming out. It's called Sniff. I would really want you guys to watch that. It had one of the best trailers that I've seen the entire year. It's about you have no idea what the premise is about. It's about a bunch of kids. They're just sitting in class and he starts sniffing something, and they show percentages. And when they focus on a particular kid, his goes off through the roof. So you don't know if it's a superhero movie or it's just a quirky thing. But I just loved it. Coming back to Raees, it has a brilliant star cast. The supporting cast is really good. I'm not counting Sunny Leon. I'm just saying, Nawazuddin.
Why not, man?
Why not? She is really good in what she does.
I can't count her twice.
We might as well legitimize her by mentioning her in our podcast. So please.
Right. Okay. And Atul Kulkarni is also there. Both of them are if you put them in any movie, it doesn't matter if it's a C grade, D grade movie, and you'll know that these guys will pull off that scene no matter what the dialogue is.
Yeah.
I think we put too much stock into Nawazuddin's plate, and I think he's become Naseeruddin Shah for this generation. I think he's an amazing actor. I love Naseeruddin Shah. I love Nawaz Siddiqui as well. But I think he needs a good agent. He just keeps making these shit choices. It's either that or he just wants to make a lot of money really, really fast.
No, he's been typecasted into playing the same token anti-character. Anti-character is what he plays in each of his movies.
Or the police officer.
He's played the same character that plays here. He's played in Kahani. Tell me that's not true.
Right. He's playing the same character in that Salman Khan, Devil, that movie in which he was called Devil. Salman Khan was playing Devil or something, right?
I think that was I don't know, some shit.
What was that like? Abhishek, he saw it in theaters. Now he's being quiet.
Yeah, I saw it on theaters, but then again, I don't really remember the name because it's a Salman Khan movie. So, naam zarurat nahi hai. Salman Khan bhai is bhai, bro. So please. Anyway, I don't really remember the name of the film, but yeah, it's one of those Kick. Yes, the name of the movie is Kick.
Yeah, okay. So they're playing the same character. Okay, so I guess none of us are really excited for Raees, but we'll still be catching it, right?
I will.
When does it come out, by the way?
I will. When Kick-Ass Torrance catches it, I will catch it.
Okay.
I've lived in Gujarat and know how, and I know the challenge of getting liquor in Baroda, so maybe I'll catch it as well.
We don't support or condone piracy. So.
Okay, so next up we have a movie called Viceroy's House. It's directed by Gurinder Chadda, the same person who made movies like Bend It Like Beckham. And she has sort of lost a touch, right, these current years. This movie stars Hugh Bonneville from Downton Abbey and Miss Agent Scully herself, Gillian Anderson, Michael Gambon of all people, and also, and how would a British Indian production be complete without adding Om Puri to the cast?
Yes, because that is. Yeah, when these people come to land with their planes, you have people with flowers and people with the entourage with you should take them to the hotel and you have Om Puri. Because you have package mein free hai, isko bhi likhe.
And the music is by A.R. Rahman, of course.
Of course, movie package.
Right. So, guys, Riabaki, what was your thought on Viceroy's House?
Really, I don't really expect it to be much of a hit, nor a critical hit. I mean, if it is, I would be glad, but based on the trailer, it just looks like, yet another movie trying to really portray, I mean, although here they're portraying the British side of things, I suppose. This will not be like Deepa Mehta's Earth, not at all. I don't think so. It'll not be as good as that. However, my one astonishing thing I noticed is Gillian Anderson's portrayal of Lady Edwina Mountbatten. That was very good, and she does have a physical resemblance as well. I actually had to check, and I found out that Gillian Anderson is English. I thought she was American.
I didn't know she was.
And yeah, I'll probably watch it, maybe if only to see Uma Qureshi's story.
Oh yeah, she's in the movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really.
By the way, Anir and Mrigank, do you think they're whitewashing this?
Yeah, Uma Qureshi is quite white. I mean, but
no, not that. Like,
no.
a lot, right? It was. They showed like the British were such. They were bringing India and Pakistan together into making it a very peaceful sort of.
No. They mentioned in the trailer. They said something like, 300 million Hindus and Sikhs want a country, and 100 million Muslims want to split it apart, or something like that.
Right, but the role that they were showing. Like it showed they wanted the peaceful outcome and everything else.
Yeah, they portrayed Lord Mountbatten as a very, I don't think Lord Mountbatten was that sort of person. I think the portrayal of Lord Mountbatten in The Crown is more accurate. Like, he was a conniving son of a bitch, and I don't think the portrayal here, I mean, because it's Hugh Bonneville, so we identify him.
That's how Winston Churchill in the show describes him, right? That idiot of India.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, true.
So, Anir and Mrigank...
So, I'll tell you what the problem with this movie is, okay? The problem with movies like this is, while they try to be historically accurate, they never are, because they tend to add on elements that probably are not needed in the movie. Probably which studios thinks are important to make the movie a hit, like romantic elements and such. And we already saw that in the trailer, right? We saw Uma Qureshi's character and whatever the other guy's name is.
Did you catch Mahatma Gandhi's character?
I had quite a few laughs.
I know he was toothless, but that is like too much, man. They're trying to be too accurate.
I thought they had cast Yoda in the role, Don't Gandhi remind you of Yoda over there?
If there's Lady Mountbatten, there has to be equally inappropriate Jawaharlal Nehru.
Yes.
That's the first thing that came to my mind. And there's literally no scene that addresses that thing. There's one scene where they're sitting together and one is just a flash and then you miss it. It's not there. But that's a big part of Indian history and we know it. Right?
Right.
At the end of the day,
I think the casting for Jawaharlal Nehru is...
Jawaharlal Nehru used his other brain, to get think things through. So
Do you mean the other head?
the head, whatever. But yeah, pretty much. So, but yeah, I mean the trailer, as per se, I mean again, it plays very safe. Again, I'm sure it's not gonna stick to what really happened. It's a good film, and I'm sure she's not looking here to,
Why is it too long? The trailer is too long.
It is. And it's a little bit boring too. It somehow reminds me of the last Marigold Hotel for some reason. I don't know why.
I think it's
Hey, that's a good movie.
I got the same vibe after watching that, It was very bright. And I don't think a period piece should be that brightly lit, especially when you're showing such a tumultuous period in history.
Yeah, it does.
I think it reminds people of the last Marigold Hotel because there, in last Marigold Hotel, you'll have a bunch of old English parts being served by
Indian.
Yeah,
Indians
it's
who
like
worship
that,
them.
right?
being served by us Indians. So I think that's the only resemblance, and I think I don't have any hopes about this movie, to be honest.
Yeah, it's same. Like I said, I think they'll be whitewashing it completely.
Wasn't David Attenborough's Gandhi whitewashing when they kept Ben Kingsley as Gandhi?
Ben Kingsley is half Indian.
I know he's half Indian, but he's more British than Indian, right? I mean, he doesn't retain his Indian name, etc.
He does have that brown blood in him, so it's okay.
They had to
Austin
make
out,
him
right?
brown.
No, but he definitely acted very well. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't
he
take
did
that
act very
away
well.
from him.
Dan Day-Lewis was in that movie as well, right?
Yeah, he was playing the character
South
of
African.
glasses or something.
Yeah,
South
cool.
African
Well,
bad guy.
Full buck.
So now we come to the main
Watch.
event. It's we're going to discuss the Rogue One. So I'll start straight off with Abhishek. I know you've been dying to talk about this. So Abhishek, let loose. How did you find Rogue One?
Don't cry.
Already.
I'm trying. So there was this sequence at the right at the hour mark where Orson Krennic goes to Mustafar, and there he meets Darth Vader, and that's when I started to weep. And I kept weeping right till the end. And I hold my Star Wars experiences and my Star Wars reviews based on the amount of times I weep, because these are so close to my heart. And the waterworks just started, and I knew that's just not an indicator. I'm just fucking around. I think this fits into the pantheon of the first 3 Star Wars movies. This is an amazing Star Wars movie, and just if you discount the big 2 words Star Wars, I think it's a great movie. It's an amazing. This is a movie which we need at the current times that we live in. It is very, very emotional, and even with the small amount of background that you get, it fleshes out the characters, which is something which is incredibly important for every Star Wars fan. But because we love to have our characters, some of our favorite characters are well fleshed out. All of our favorite characters are well fleshed out, except for Anakin Skywalker, so fuck that guy. Anyway, yeah, so I absolutely loved it. I loved every second of it. I think the build-up, the middle part of the movie was a little bit clunky, could have been better edited, but apart from that, it started off with a bang. By the way, it will be a very spoilery review, so in case you haven't watched the movie, you can come back and hear us talk about it. It doesn't start off with the scroll.
Okay, and
Which
we
is
come
amazing.
back.
Yeah, I
Come back to you, Abhishek. Anir and Mrigank.
Yep.
We haven't heard from you regarding Star Wars.
So let me start with what I have to say. I'm sorry guys, but I've done fucked up on this. This is the most expensive movie ticket there has been. Right, I flew all the way to Bangalore to watch it with Mrigank. But the thing is, my flight was early morning, so I said I will not sleep. I'll wake up the whole night and I'll take the cab and I'll come. So the thing is, I hadn't slept. The problem was, as soon as I entered the hall,
Yeah, he got
the environment was too comfortable. And 2 minutes in,
Oh dear.
I fell asleep.
No way, man.
I give you. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Blasphemy.
sorry. I slept for 2 minutes. But in that, I missed a lot. The rest of the movie, I love it. Okay, I can't deny it. This is so much. There's so much that happens when Darth Vader appears. When this comes out on the screen, it's all just something that moves you. First time this is shot, at Jeddah. It's just so beautiful. It's beautiful shot. I mean, think about it. If this was how it was shot when the first movies were made, I mean, that just blows my mind that it could have looked like that at that time. But even then, by that standards also, even then, the movies that we have grown to love and revere, well, they look so beautiful. So you can only imagine if they had that technology then, how good it would have looked.
Right.
And it's amazing that he managed to make it look like that with technology existing then.
Yeah, and so I know I'll have to go in for another viewing very soon, so that I cover up for what I've done. But Mrigank got the whole thing, so I think he can give you a better perspective on things.
Yes, first of all, it was not 2 minutes. But yeah, I mean, coming to the movie, I mean, you guys all know, like we've been discussing this before, and I was pretty much the most apprehensive of the lot, and I'm definitely not gonna say I didn't like it. I mean, I was expecting worse out of it, which it was not. But I did find quite a few, quibbles with it, which I will talk about soon. But at the end of the day, yes, I think because of the storyline involved and because of how it panned out, it definitely is a very tragic, but in a very nice Star Wars way. At the end of the day, I did feel at certain points that, especially when the movie was beginning, that the editing was not done really great, and I'm sure, if at all this topic ever comes up, the director and everyone is going to blame it on the reshoots, because you could really see the scenes just shifting from one point to another, which did not really, hold me in initially. And honestly, the lead character, including, Kasan and all, I really think throughout the whole movie, he had the charisma of a potato. Like, he was pretty boring, to be honest. I was never really feeling, getting any good vibes from him. While the movie definitely grew on me, and by the time it was ending, Darth Vader for sure, man. I mean, the scene, it was the very.
We'll come back to that later because we have specific.
Don't worry, guys. I'll kill him for you tonight.
Okay. So Riabaki.
I hated the movie. I'm just kidding. I loved the movie. Really, I am one of those people who will place a movie in its time. Say, if you were to mention a movie from the 60s and a movie from, say, 2010, and both movies are, say, very good, I would rate the 2010 movie higher because I am of that generation and I am around to witness and to feel the innovation, the whatchamacallit it brings. So this for me is the movie for my generation, the Star Wars movie that will introduce the new, introduce new fans, I would rate this movie as the best Star Wars movie ever. Sorry.
Same here. I sorry, favorite as well.
Yes, sorry to all the purists. It was so perfect, and the one thing that drew me to Star Wars as a kid was Jedis and lightsaber battles, and the whole concept of the Force. And I'm so surprised that this movie was so good, despite having none of those elements, except for that part which we will discuss at the end. Yes. But overall, yes, this was a brilliant movie. Although I am disappointed that we didn't find out anything about Rey. I'll just mention one more point. I think Arindam was dead on in mentioning in his review on Indian Nerve that this movie, the sole purpose of this movie was basically to clarify that whole trash shoot fracas.
They had that plot hole.
The plot hole.
How is it so easy to blow
the weakness of the Death Star. So Arindam, I think you're bang on target as to why this whole movie was made. That's the whole purpose.
I had read this online somewhere, so this is not your daddy's Star Wars. This is what your daddy actually wanted to be in Star Wars. So I think it applies perfectly for this movie.
Don't say daddy.
Kishler, can you hear it?
Star Wars definitely has some daddy issues for sure.
It always does that. I mean, without having a storyline which involves some sort of a family tragedy Star Wars will never be Star Wars. So
I watched Empire
was
Strikes
dark.
Back yesterday, and it still creeps me out how Leia just kisses Luke out of nowhere.
it is the biggest scene in the history of pop culture.
About that.
Hey, Game of Thrones, man.
The greatest incest story in Star Wars.
I have a theory that scene was never meant to be shot. And I mean, that just happened randomly.
I have a theory that George Lucas did not have it planned out like honest trailers has suggested. Because in the third movie, out of nowhere, Luke just takes Leia in a corner and says, hey, you know what, you're my sister. Out of nowhere, even if that scene, if it doesn't exist, it didn't exist.
And they were also told pretty late that the actors were told pretty late that they were siblings, right? There's this picture.
Because the first movie is like a love triangle, right? That is what it is. So Kishore, what were your thoughts?
Give Star Wars too much credit sometimes, because sometimes I feel that Lucas just, wrote it on a whim, and he was writing while he's shooting the movies, and this could be one reason where suddenly he thought it's a good idea.
See, that's what you get when you watch the credits. It always says story by Lucas, but you'll see the screenplays by Lawrence Kasdan and all those great other people, and Irvin Kershner is the person who directed it. Directed the second movie, I guess.
Yeah, the second movie. So third was by Ross Marquardt.
I think the best Star Wars movie was where he had the least involvement. So,
right, exactly. So after that, the cast. Pedro, did you like it?
I won't tell you how the movie was. I can tell you, something important about the movie, because now it seems like, after this is evident from what has been released so far, what has been published so far.
Right.
So it is evident that we have two kind of franchise. One which happens after the George Lucas series, and one which happens before the George Lucas series. So we have a twined franchise going on. One which will build on the prequel, the other one which builds on the sequels. After. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to milk a lot of money. I've never been a big fan of Star Wars, so I don't know what to expect. Let's see how it works out to be.
Okay, so one thing that Star Wars never has an absence of is memorable characters. So Abhishek, according to you, who was your most memorable character?
My favorite character of this film was K2SO.
Right, Alan Tudyk.
He was played by Alan Tudyk, voiced by Alan Tudyk. He is an Imperial droid who has been reprogrammed by Cassian Andor and for the rebellion. He was my favorite character, and I also thought, contrary to, I would like to disagree with Mrigank, I think Cassian Andor's character was also pretty well done. I mean, it was not as well fleshed out as it would want us to, as we would want it to be. But he displayed a few things which we have never seen in a Star Wars film. Like, we've always seen the good guys are the rebellion, the Empire is the bad guy. Cassian Andor was the very embodiment of a grey area. The first scene where we introduced to Andor, he shoots a guy in the back. I mean, that was never before seen in a Star Wars film. Even his entire pivot of his character was based on him trying to assassinate Galineso. So that is some very grey, morally ambiguous areas which never before seen. So yeah, these two were my actual favorite characters, and also.
Riabaki, so who was your favorite character from Rogue One?
Well, I have to say Jyn, of course, because one of the reasons is because I'm crushing hard on Felicity Jones right now after watching the movie. And I really like to see anything related to the Force. I will go for that. And so Itman, the character he played, the blind Jedi Guardian, he was pretty memorable.
Right?
Yes, exactly. He had the way he sacrificed himself at the end. That was pretty emotional. Like the way he chanting the entire time, "I am one with the Force is one with me," as he proceeded towards activating that communication socket for Cassian Andor. So really, those two characters were the hit for me.
Yeah, the only reason why I didn't mention Chirrut Imwe in my list of my favorite characters is because I think he transcends this film. I would not mention Darth Vader as my favorite character of this film, because Darth Vader these days. The same way, like Luke Skywalker transcends everyone that you've seen on post. He is at a different level. Chirrut Imwe is
I will disagree on the not disagree, sort of. I'll actually put a counterpoint to this. I would put Chirrut Imwe out there as my favorite character, mostly because in a movie that is void of Jedi's, he's the only one that
He's a
keeps
Force believer.
reinforcing the importance of the Force. Right? He's the only one that is always constant in his belief of the Force, which is very important in a movie that has more of the dark side rather than the Jedi's.
That's not what I'm saying. This movie doesn't even have the dark side. This movie has the the Empire versus the Resistance. This is not light versus the dark. This is not the saga of the Skywalker family that we're talking about, or the Jedi's versus the Sith. We are talking. Why I didn't mention Chirrut Imwe. For me personally, this guy is as important to me, as important as an Obi-Wan Kenobi is, or even say a Luke Skywalker, or even a or an Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader is. That guy is so, he actually holds the movie together.
Right. There's a very interesting Easter egg over there. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but the first draft for Star Wars was called The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, as taken from the Journey of the Willis. So Chirrut Imwe and Baz Malbus, both of them are guardians of Willis. So they are actually the monks who are in the Jedi, who existed in the Jedi temple, who were not Jedi's themselves, but they were like monks and they believed in the Force. Most probably I'll ruin the scene for you, but when Chirrut Imwe was not being hit by everything and he was chanting, it reminded me of Sunil Shetty from Border. Tell me I was the only one.
How is Border for me?
I take back all that I said.
And that is not the only one, okay? There was also one scene in which someone looks up and then they fly, the gold leader flies off the X-Wing and Base Malbus gives him a thumbs up. That was exactly what Sunny Deol did, okay, in Border. So don't...
This movie is a rip-off of Border.
Not rip-off, tell me Gareth Edwards has
Border
seen Border. He has seen Border, and I've mentioned it earlier as well. I was... I felt that I was 10 years old and I was seeing Border.
Or maybe he's just trying to impress Sunny Leone. I don't know.
Sunny Deol, man.
Sunny Leone.
Okay.
Yeah, we all know what he's going to do after the podcast is over.
Okay.
Hand pumps are going to disappear, man.
Okay. So we come back to the villains in the movie, namely Orson Krennic, as played by Ben Mendelsohn, one of the best actors in Hollywood right now. So, Anir, what was your take on him as a villain?
As a villain, he is up there. I've always been a fan of Ben Mendelsohn, and one of the first movies where I've seen him, being very up there in terms of being villainous was Animal House. He's just that menacing a character, and in this movie also, I felt that menace. Even when Darth Vader had him under his control and sort of was controlling him with the Force. When he let him go, you can see that he's not at all perturbed.
As intimidated, yes.
Yeah, he is. He has a smirk on his face, which tells him that his ambitions are more important to him, and it doesn't matter what Darth Vader thinks. And he is the ultimate person who thinks about his goals rather than what Darth Vader wants from him. So that makes him a very dangerous villain in my opinion. Of course, but then again, in the end, he had to be shot in the back, which was...
I have a counterpoint to that.
Yeah.
The scene is when Darth Vader force chokes him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I completely missed the smirk, but I think that he knows that Darth Vader can't hurt him the way he can, as the other other technicians and officers of the Force are not as expendable, are more expendable than he is. That's also because Darth Vader is on a leash. To quote Princess Leia from A New Hope, Darth Vader is on a leash. He cannot hurt this guy, and Orson Krennic knows this very well. Orson Krennic knows that even Darth Vader actually doesn't even believe that the Death Star works, right? So Darth Vader is actually reporting to the Emperor, and who all of them are reporting to. So Darth Vader anyway can't hurt this guy, because this guy is working out on the Emperor's plans. So I think that may have played a part in him, coming out as such a badass.
More than him being villainous, I thought the other main actor who we should address as the elephant in the room is CGI Peter Cushing. Grand Moff Tarkin has been more villainous because he didn't have this much screen time even in the original movie. When he first appeared, I thought, okay, maybe this is like only one cameo and it's a clever one. And then he's had a substantial role. So what was your take on the entire thing? Do you think it has set a dangerous precedence in Hollywood, in which they'll just zombify actors long gone?
True. Ethically, I feel it is a bit wrong. I mean, you don't bring back a person just for the sake of a movie. I mean, they could have done something else, recast, or we would accept it. You can take the artistic license of recasting the character. So yeah, I feel ethically it is a little. I'm a little on the fence about this one.
Okay, Abhishek.
Yeah, I think. I completely agree with what Riabaki has just said. But then again, just for telling this story. This particular story, you needed Grand Moff Tarkin to be there. I mean, Grand Moff Tarkin was even there in Revenge of the Sith. I mean, granted, he was there in a part of a larger diorama, but he was there.
Right. There was a stand-in, I think, who just hands over some plans to Darth Vader when he's looking at the construction of the Death Star.
True, but the scene is that for telling stories as specific as this, and considering that how important of a character, how integral of a character Grand Moff Tarkin is, and he also may be Snoke, but he is.
He's not Snoke, come on.
He is Snoke. I might say he is.
Okay, what do you think of the CGI effect overall?
I, for one, did not mind or did not notice.
Or did you know in advance?
No, I did not know. I went in and I thought, I obviously knew that they used the same technique they used on Robert Downey Jr. in Civil War. So that was obvious, but the thing was that maybe because we know about all this and we keep on reading about film news, we weren't that surprised. Or I asked someone who doesn't keep up, and I informed him that, did you know that this character was CGI? And they had no idea at all. They noticed that Leia's character was completely CGI, because that, I think, was very hastily made. But for Tarkin, everything, I think it was like very well done. So Anir and Mrigank, what's your take on?
I'd like to add something.
So I have an interesting take on this, because I never knew he was gonna be there in the movie. So when he came on screen, honestly, I was not really thinking that if I've seen him before and all, but when he keeps reappearing, and I mean, my mind starts going back, because it's not like I've rewatched Star Wars movies for like a long time and stuff like that. And that's when I suddenly, got a pang, is it like a CGI thing or something? Although I never bothered checking at that time. But yeah, I pretty much know now.
Sure. Kishiloy,
something which I'd like to add is again, I think they showed you the making of this film, and what Gareth Edwards tried to do here is he tried to avoid as much CGI as possible. Right. Most of it was actual puppetry, and that made a hell lot of difference. So I'm not sure about Princess Leia, but...
So did you guys like the score?
I am not a big fan, honestly. I mean, it tried to take cues from obviously the old Star Wars movies while trying to be its own entity, and I think it ended up being somewhere in the middle, which wasn't that great. I mean, I did feel that in some scenes the music was not really working well with how the movie was panning out, but in some of the scenes, I mean, obviously it was quite good. I mean, I won't say it was like a really shitty soundtrack. Once again, I'm just coming back to my favorite scene of the movie, but that time I felt everything just gelled well. And maybe, I mean, how some scenes just make a movie for you. And I might be sitting here talking, good things about the movie because of only that one fucking scene. Maybe if I rewatch the movie like 2 or 3 times, I mean, things might change. But honestly, the music and everything, in certain ways it worked, but in many other ways it did not for me.
What about you, Riabaki?
Yeah, so in the first 30 to 45 minutes, just before the break that we have over here, I felt that the music was pretty dark. I mean, I didn't find anything funny. Like when she shot the droid that resembled K2S. So I mean, that was supposed to be, yeah. And then she said, of course I knew it was you. I didn't even find it funny. I mean, the entire first 30, 40 minutes was pretty dark. I mean, the music provided a very dark and somber tone to the movie, such that I didn't find it light-hearted at all. Like it was not at all like Force Awakens. Force Awakens had a lot of funny moments in the opening scenes and all, whereas here the movie added that. I mean, it was like foreshadowing the end of the movie, because everyone dies at the end. So maybe that was the whole purpose of having somewhat of a dark.
In the first scene itself, when you see like Anir had mentioned, they have those cues. They have to take those cues from those four themes, the Force theme and Imperial March and everything. But they were always ending it on a minor note, and minor note always shows that if they're hinting towards a darker thing, which is usually not the case. So I thought it complemented quite well with the scenes that they were showing. Like Riabaki had mentioned earlier, they showed a mother dying near a child being shot at directly, and they didn't show it off screen, they showed it on screen. And for a Disney movie, that's quite an achievement. So Abhishek, do you think it was as dark? Did you go in expecting that it would be this dark?
The film, I expected the film to be dark. Why? I'll tell you is look at the trailers. I mean, the first trailer, which I loved, I mean, it had the foreboding sound of the Death Star alarm. And I knew that some shit was going down, right? I mean, you cannot have a fun war film with this. I mean, you knew that people were going to die, and you knew that these characters, none of them, I mean, I don't think I expected a couple of them to stay alive, but I knew that the entire team was not going to be alive. Even the foreboding of the second trailer where they say, "Are you with me?" and then they say, I'm with you all the way. That was also kind of foreshadowing, and then the end with Vader looking at the Death Star plans. You got a fair idea that it was going to be a very, very dark film.
Right. So Mrigank?
Yeah.
What was it like? Was it dark enough for you?
It definitely was very dark, and I never really expected it. I mean, I was expecting, of course, some people to die and all. And as I said, earlier, it didn't really feel like a Star Wars movie to me when I was watching the trailers. But it definitely ties in well with the storyline, whatever existed till now. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is dark. I mean, certain scenes are things. Forget a Disney movie. I don't think you will ever think that it would be in a Star Wars movie. People shooting people in the back, and that person being actually like a hero in the movie.
Right. That scene especially where Cassian Andor, he takes the information and he just shoots it, shows the desperation of the rebels. I don't think they ever show that, and they showed the elements of grey.
And I remember telling Anirban at that time that, wow, that's dark.
But you got to remember that Disney is also coming out with Cars 3. If you have seen the trailer, that's dark as hell.
That's just a teaser, okay? You know that the next one will have the same,
I think it's more to do with how they're diversifying. I mean, at the end of the day, they earned the most amount a studio has ever earned in this past year. So, I mean, honestly, right now, I mean, they might show people fucking on the screen and still it'll earn money. So
they did that in the 30s, 40s and 50s, right? The Disney animators, they titled it in the movie.
Yeah. In Mickey Mouse cartoons of all things.
Right. Okay, so talking about the Easter eggs, there were lots and lots of Easter eggs. So Abhishek, what was your favorite Easter egg?
Yeah, Neban caught some of them.
Okay.
I'll list a few. I was talking to you.
From the starting to the end, and see if we can catch we caught all of it.
I mean, Arindam and I were speaking around about 2 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and we were just comparing whatever Easter eggs we caught. The first thing that I think most of us caught a little bit, if you have to be a little bit eagle-eyed to catch this, panther milk. The blue milk.
Blue milk.
Oh.
In Jenner's room, right?
Right. Then there are few things which are callbacks to the prequels. And there was the one, the Juggernaut, where what's her name? Jane Erso is actually trapped. That's from Return of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith, I'm sorry. Then you also in Jeddah you meet the two guys. I'm so sorry I forget the names of these two guys. The two guys who meet Luke in
the bully.
Did you
Who was killed by?
reference to Che Guevara, by the way?
Yeah, exactly.
I found it really funny.
Okay, Saw
Saw
Gerrera,
Gerrera.
he's like Darth Asthma, right? I don't know what. And when he was breathing, did you notice that Riz Ahmed's character Bodhi Rook?
The lazy eye was working.
Somebody has the force.
the Force.
So when he
And
was
moving on-
breathing in the mask, right, Bodhi, he was scared shitless because that reminded him of Vader. I'm pretty sure that that's an Easter egg as well. Because that sounded exactly like Vader when he was breathing in through that apparatus. And also we have to talk about the incredible hair growth from the first teaser to the movie. Because in the first teaser he was bald, and in the
He had an afro.
yeah,
Got all brother.
See, again, I'm definitely gonna put it to the reshoot, because during the reshoots they must have somehow figured out that this guy looks better with hair or something.
And no, mainly I would say that in the reshoots they had a completely different role for him, more of an inspirational thing. But over here in the movie, he was manic. This guy had lost his mind.
I'm 100% sure he had more screen time for sure. Because if you think about it, after he adopts her, the movie just cuts off to another scene, and we never really know what happens to her. I'm sure there are a lot of scenes which have gone missing between that time and the next scene jump where she's on the internment camp or something. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also,
Coming back to the
Easter
Should I
eggs.
talk about Easter eggs, or do you have a point?
Let's talk about Easter eggs. We'll come to that later.
Right. So even in Saw Gerrera's Campu, you might have seen. If you're a big Star Wars fan, you must have watched Clone Wars. He was there in the Clone Wars as well. He is a character. He actually exists in the canon. So in his camp, you would see that they hit the people around his camp, hit the bunch of rebels or the bunch of terrorists. They play this board game, the same board game which Luke Skywalker plays on the Millennium Falcon.
I remember.
Yeah.
The right?
Correct.
Yeah. The board game. Yeah, a very rudimentary version of it, but the board nonetheless.
Yeah.
And in Yavin Fort, where the first battle in the original trilogy happened, in Yavin Fort there are so many different Easter eggs that you can catch, man. You have R2D2, you have C3PO, you have the X-wings, the U-wings. It's just a goldmine of just
One of
finding
my favorite parts was that in the last war, when they have the different X-wing teams flying in, you notice that the Red 5 crashes, and that explains why why Luke is Red 5 in The New Hope, because there was a vacancy in the team.
Okay.
So there were like tiny, very small nuggets that were like extremely well done, and the devotion to the specific details were incredible. Like the prison in which Jyn Erso was kept in the start of the movie. It's the same number which Leia was trapped in, and Luke, finds her and says, "Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?"
What was that? And also, I think, did anyone notice the pilots, the gold and the red teams? These were outtakes from the original Star Wars film, A New Hope. So I was a little disappointed that Porkins was not there, but yeah, it's okay.
There was a fat guy. Red 5 was fat enough, so maybe he was like Junior Porkins or something.
So if you remember the scene where Belle Mendelsohn's character Krennic is going to visit Darth Vader, he's on this planet. It looks very familiar. It's because that's where Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Waco had their final confrontation.
Right, exactly. That is the planet. It's Mustafar, and that is where Vader's castle is.
Yeah.
So,
And he finally has the higher ground.
Yes.
And also, did you notice that when Darth Vader is in that tank is the exact tank in which Luke was recovering from the vampire attack in The Empire Strikes Back. And also, there's one more thing that...
Did you guys catch the Darth Vader's fucked up body?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought
I don't know why they didn't show more of it, because all of that is already something that is out there in print, and
you just wanted to see some Vader dick, didn't you?
not that part, man. I mean,
Just chopped off, man. Come on.
No, but I mean, I definitely think they missed a scene there because at the end of the day, all these movies, it's all about building his legacy, right? I mean, we all know what Darth Vader did and how he died and all, but now that he's such a pop culture phenomena, I mean, getting to see things personally on the screen, things like what he actually looked like, and of course the special effects are better now, like the makeup effects and everything work much better now. I mean, it's just a little bit of fan servicing they missed out on, to be honest. I mean, it's no
Can
big
I
deal.
answer this?
Yeah.
Can I provide a counterpoint? So I think Star Wars is the only successful property out there where most of the things that you know about characters comes from things which fans write or comes from an extended universe. Now, if you want to read more about Darth Vader and why he is such a badass, I think you
read the
really
comics and stuff.
to check out the Marvel run of the Darth Vader run, which is written by Kieran Gillen. It explains Darth Vader's transition from the destruction of the first Death Star to the building of the next, and then right up to the events of Return of the Jedi. These are things which have not been shown in the films, and that explains his character and gives him more of a sympathetic edge. So these are some things which you should catch on, and this is something that Star Wars, and only Star Wars, has done really, really well.
You know what I really liked about this movie was that the way in which they also incorporated George Lucas's vision from the prequels, because Force Awakens steered clear of whatever Lucas had done in the prequels. But over here, many of the set designs, etc., were totally taken straight from the prequels, like Mustafa is most. And Star Wars is, it's grounded for most of the movie. But some of it was, they brought the fantastical elements.
And it makes a lot of sense as well, right? Doesn't it make a lot of sense? Because this is just you coming to the events of Revenge of the Sith. That is where the Empire come into power.
Right. And it takes place minutes before A New Hope.
Right, like literally minutes, and I love that part. Okay, so talking about, since we are approaching the end, let's talk about the last, the dogfight which takes place. Like that was almost about 30 to 40 minutes maybe. I did not expect it to go that long or it to be that awesome. Was this the best fight scene that we've seen in Star Wars?
Actually, simultaneous to the fight scene, what was going on was all that on the ground when they were trying to steal the plans. And I just have to point out that the part where, everything fails and they have to manually retrieve the data plans, that was so reminiscent of Star Wars games that I've played, that first, before activating the satellite, you have to align it. I mean, I just couldn't help noticing. Like, I've played a lot of games on Star Wars, and they have a lot of these, subplots in between the main plot where you have to do this. But yeah, aside from that, the fight in space was, really impressive.
Like even the one on the beach, it was so gritty, and
yeah, it was very much like a war film. I mean, straight out of Iraq, Baghdad, or any one of those scenarios.
Right, exactly. So, Mrigank, what's your take on the final battle scene?
I have a few things. So, I think it was a little bit lengthy. Like it sort of pulled a Man of Steel on us. But it definitely was done quite good. I always keep drawing in negatives. I don't know why. But it was definitely good. But for me, the highlight were a few set pieces which really set forward the director's vision. I mean, if you think about Gareth Edwards and how he did Godzilla, the one thing he was able to do very well was able to catch the mystique about the creature. And I think, there was no real creature in this as such, but three sequences which really stood out to me. The first one was when the AT-ATs, emerged.
Right, when they were crushing the stormtroopers and the rebels. That was awesome.
I never found them frightening before.
Yeah, exactly.
The second scene for me was when the two starships collide,
the Hammerhead Corvette, the coolest maneuver.
That was a brilliant
That was a brilliant scene because it showed you things up close and personal, and up there in gravity, how things happen. Maybe even like physically, it's not even real, but it was a mind-blowing scene. And of course, my third highlight of the movie, and which I'm been coming back to since the past 1 hour, which makes the movie extra special to me, is just that last bit where Darth Vader enters.
Okay, let's talk about Vader. So,
just one point.
John Vader for me.
Just one point, Arindam. Actually, the part where those AT&Ts come out, like almost out of the mist, that was very reminiscent of a certain film that Gareth Edward had done in 2010 called Monsters.
Monsters, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was a very good film, and actually, if you watch it, it's not really gonna turn out like what you expect it to be.
Yeah, it's not a movie at all.
Yeah, exactly. But the way those monsters are portrayed there, it's very similar to how the AT-ATs are portrayed in this movie. Yeah,
you know how good Gareth Edwards is? He shot Monsters. He went in a place which was ravaged by tropical storms, and he shot it exactly the way it was, and he did not spend one single paisa on the sets and everything. Those are all natural action things.
Yeah.
No, I have to gush about the Darth Vader.
Right.
He was actually gushing when we were watching the movie together. Okay, I mean, for him it was the high point of the movie. Till then he was silent. This guy was silent throughout the whole movie. I mean, as silent as Mrigank. But no, I was asleep for the first 3 minutes. He can limit by 1 minute, but I'll give him another 2 minutes to make it 5. But yeah. But still, I was there for most of the movie. I caught up for most of it. So he got really excited at that scene. I mean, though one scene where I sort of when the pod escapes with the and Darth Vader is right there on the edge of the ship, and that scene I didn't catch because that thing I don't know why, but I was thinking his cape should not be flaring like that. His cape should not be fluttering like that. It's space. It should not.
Man, it's force.
It's an opera. It's a space opera.
Yeah, because that's what you do, right? You're considering making yourself look awesome by fluttering your cape all over, right? In space. But yeah, I mean, that scene just sealed the movie for me. Like, it converted me from maybe a part-time believer into maybe a half full-time believer.
A Sith believer.
Yeah. So, I like that it's a tragedy. The movie is a tragedy. I just like that. I mean, it's not supposed to be all happy and good all the time, and it's very nice how these two characters, they're going to die, and they're not bothered by it because they have fulfilled their purpose. And in this universe, in the universe of Star Wars, they have fulfilled the characters, which is to move the story forward and bring us to the prequels, and which are the high point of the Star Wars universe, which is actually pretty great. I mean, it all ties it up perfectly. The prequels are movies that have been lambasted for some time and will probably.
Hey, but the lightsaber fights were awesome.
Yeah,
the first one.
Has anyone? Are you guys being serious right now?
Darth Maul.
Qui-Gon Jinn versus Darth Maul.
Darth Maul, yes.
Fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, that one.
There's a Duel of the Fates.
Separate story where he supposedly lives in some of the comics that has been explored.
Right, he does.
His spirit lives on.
No, Darth Maul actually
lives
on. Yeah, his lower body is
talking
mechanized. It's like he has spider legs and everything. And it's canon because they're bringing
he was
back
too much of a badass character not to, right? Yeah. I always thought that he was one of the standout characters, and he should have gotten more screen time, more.
I think that is one place where Star Wars went very wrong. Is some of the more memorable characters, for some reason or the other, have very less screen time. I mean, forget him. I mean,
are we talking about Boba Fett?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about Boba Fett, and everybody is like, I mean, if you see, like, how much, like, the fans love him. I mean, whenever you go to any, like, in today, like, me and Anir, we had gone down to Hamleys just to, satisfy our...
Dude, I'll show you my bookcase, man. It has like 2 Boba Fett figures staring at me right now.
So yeah, I mean, Boba Fett, like, I mean, when you see the movie, and honestly, like, coming from a person, let's say, if I show it to my wife today, and I tell her that Boba Fett is a really famous character, and if I show her the movie after telling her the dialogue, and she sees that movie, I'm sure, I mean, she'll be like, what happened there?
Yeah,
I mean,
why is this guy famous? He dies in the most stupid way possible.
Seriously.
Like,
I mean that's
blind look just
somehow
nudges.
where the charm of Star Wars lie. I mean, it's the fans which have
Does
drawn.
it though? Does it? I mean, this is the way it actually lets itself down sometimes. I mean, it does. Darth Maul has the most shittiest of ends. I completely disagree. I absolutely disagree with that way, the way that Darth Maul
Can I
was.
say something here?
Yeah, sure. Abhishek, go ahead.
Oh man.
Yeah. You know why Darth Maul is so badass? Because George Lucas had nothing to do with Darth Maul. No, I'm not kidding.
Really?
He had nothing to do with Darth Maul. Darth Maul had just one line. What is thy bidding, master? Something like that. And that's exactly why George Lucas should have just not written those cheesy Stan gets in my vagina lines.
So George Lucas had everything to do with Jar Jar Binks, eh?
Yeah,
George Lucas
got her hard.
You look at the Jar Jar Binks is the reason why the Jedi Order fell. He gave the
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, that is.
When that happened.
Are we talking about Darth
why
Bing Bing?
the franchisee as in itself failed before Disney took it up. I mean, Jar Jar Binks is like the sole reason for every bad thing to happen to the
Hayden
franchise.
Christensen too.
Yeah.
To a large extent, yes.
Sand gets everywhere. My God, that line. Holy shit. Every time I see that movie, it just gets worse and worse, you know. I do not find one redeeming factor. Okay, Abhishek, tell us about the Vader scene. Do you think Vader was underused or overused or perfectly used?
I think you had the right amount of Vader. There is no other way that you could have used Darth Vader. I mean, yes, like I told you earlier as well, that scene in Mustafar was veering towards a little fan servicey, but it was required. If you take a step back, you would understand why someone like an Orson Krennic, a complete corporate asshole, would go up to a monk. And that is something which a very nefarious businessman would do. He would just go up to a guy who has nothing to do with your business and say, like, you know what, this is what I have done. What the fuck have you done? So that is something which you could do, and that makes sense in the context of the film. And the last bit, where Vader is killing motherfuckers, that is one of the greatest things I've seen in a Star Wars film. Holy shit. That was something which the prequels should have given us, and it did not. That was the Force completely, and excuse the pun unleashed. That was incredible.
You know, when he just grabs that, I shared that on Facebook right now. He force holds one guy to the ceiling and he cuts him in half. That was like so good. And then he jams the lightsaber through the shoulder blade of one guy and he jams the door. And you know, just when you
where he uses the Force, he stabs a guy and he uses the Force to rip that guy apart.
Yeah,
My
it just goes in.
So one thing is there, right? When we look at the prequel movies, they sort of downplayed the importance of the Force. They try to build it up like
that's more midichlorians than Force.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
But if you look at the movies, right, it's like the Force is something that is secondary to everything, but it's very important in this case. And Darth Vader, I think this is the return of the actual power of what the Force can do. This movie, it actually shows us that was missing in the prequel movies. If I'm being honest.
Man, just okay. I'll go back to the Vader scene yet again. You know, when they showed that dark corridor, and just when his lightsaber it just lights everyone up. That is like one of the most coolest shots in Star Wars history. Yeah, Abhishek.
Replace kids with puppies, and then I don't think it'll be such a good scenario.
It would have been, on paper, it sounds really awesome, but I don't think Hayden Panettiere. I'm saying Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah, he would look
That would be a better choice, eh?
Hayden Christensen's vagina would look like fucked up. It was like the worst casting that you could for one of the most revered cinematic villains of all time, and this guy just completely destroyed Darth Vader for an entire generation. So yeah, I don't think that scene would have worked, and only because it was the actor, not the script.
Yeah, so here at least for this movie we had something to go on, like they had to steal the plans and all, etc. So regarding the Han Solo film, I'm really surprised as to like where I don't know where they're gonna go with that. I mean, either they just want to milk money out of the franchise, or they have a really good plan. something that will relate to some events that happened in the original trilogy. What say you?
I'll give you 2 points.
I think
One
Abhishek
is-
and I had discussed this yesterday also. We have 3 points jotted down, right?
Yeah, I have a 2 points. The first one is his dealings with Jabba the Hutt.
Right.
And that is where Boba Fett will also come in.
Right,
All
Boba
right.
Fett has to come in, and I think that is the one in which they will give Boba Fett his fair due. You know, what we have been expecting from him, and I think that is the one in which they'll show us why he's such a badass. They'll finally show,
That movie will have Greedo. That movie has to have Greedo. That movie will have Lando, and it will also have Boba Fett.
they
along
got
with
the perfect Lando over there, with Donald Glover. He looks exactly like, Billy D. Williams. From
yeah.
Yeah, Childish Gambino. I remember.
Childish Gambino.
Strong lover.
And coming to the Han Solo film, I think it will also have the Kessel Run.
Right,
Oh, right, yeah.
That'll be the end.
Where they finally explain how they measure,
The Kessel Run is
the units.
If that's distance or it's actual
Yeah,
time.
that time, yeah, exactly. Although it's already been explained, I think.
But I think it's going to be a very fun, entertaining movie because Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are doing it, and they are geniuses. They take properties which should not work at all, and they make it into a big success. Like you can see movies like 21 Jump Street. It worked. Lego Movie. It worked. And Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That was like the three movies. And they also quit Flash, I think, to go make Han Solo.
Yeah, Flash.
So that was a big loss for DCU again. These guys were the perfect candidates, I would say. So now we come to the ranking and where they place Rogue One in their Star Wars chronology. So Abhishek, we'll start with you. Where do you place Rogue One?
I will rank down my top, my 8, my definitive ranking. So number 8 is Attack of the Clones. My number 7 movie would be Phantom Menace. Number 6 would be Revenge of the Sith. Number 5 would be Return of the Jedi. My number 4 movie is The Force Awakens. Number 3 is A New Hope. Number 2 is Rogue One, and number 1 obviously has to be The Empire Strikes Back.
That's pretty. I think Riabaki and I, we have already said that it's number 1 for us, right?
Rogue One, yes.
Yeah, Rogue One. Even for me, I watched Empire Strikes Back just yesterday, just to confirm. It wasn't just the hype after seeing the movie, but I actually stand by my point that it is number 1 for me. It was just that good.
Even Force Awakens can't really hold a candle to this.
Exactly.
Rogue One is miles ahead, or should I say 3 films ahead of Force Awakens.
So Anir and Mrigank, tell us.
I think I'll side with Abhishek on this.
So that's number 2 for you.
Yeah, it's number 2 for me. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's a very close call. I mean, even you guys must have fallen that thing. You're a little bit whether to give it 1 or 2, number 2 position. But it's a very minor point. I mean, if you had seen Rogue One maybe at earlier point and maybe at the same point as the other one, Empire Strikes Back, then you would have a different point of view.
Right, exactly.
So it's just a very fine call for even me, I think. Yeah. But Empire Strikes Back is the definitive Star Wars movie for me.
What about you, Mrigank?
Yeah, I feel, for me, personally, this movie, as I said, a lot of things were not working out for me, but, certain things happened, and then I was like, whoa, shit, dude, and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I would definitely, again, Empire Strikes Back is, right at the top of the game. I would place it somewhere. I mean, I really don't like doing rankings because I get really confused by them.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would
tell us where you would like.
maybe right after the original trilogy. I mean, it's definitely better to me than The Force Awakens, and for me, coming here and saying that is like a big thing, because I mean, I like The Force Awakens, but if there's one thing that's true about many Star Wars movies is as the days go by, you start looking at them in a critical point of view. And right now, I do feel that The Force Awakens was all fan service and very less, stuff.
I would disagree, but then again, that's what they say about opinions. But yeah, that's a discussion for probably another time. I think Force Awakens was exactly what was needed for this franchise, because you have to understand this.
I understand that was a shot in the arm required from the franchisee, because if you think, and I mean, I'm sure like a lot of people agree to that, because the Force Awakens is pretty much same in storyline and characterization to the first few movies. But what it does really do well is sort of differentiate itself for the new generation who's coming in and watching these movies. The movie
Let's not forget, without the Force Awakens, there's no other movies that are being made. If that doesn't work out, I don't think any other movies would have been made.
Right,
So
you have
they
to
really
take
have to get it new kids, I mean, people who grew up watching Star Wars are now old fucks like us. I mean, if they have to earn money, they need the new kids coming in and watching this movie.
Exactly, like J.J. Abrams had a lot of things, like he had to take these things into perspective. He had to connect with the old fans who were like disillusioned by the prequels. He had to take in fans who grew up watching the prequels, and he had to bring in the new generation, like who are starting now, and this would be the first Star Wars. So there were like three different people that he had to like cater to, and I think he found the perfect balance.
He balanced the Force.
Oh, fuck, I missed that. Okay, so what are your expectations, Abhishek, from episode 8? Like where do they lie?
I think, like I was telling everyone yesterday as well, I think Rian Johnson has his work cut out for him. Although the movie has started post-production, I think there will be a little bit of reshoots, which is not a very bad thing, considering Disney really knows what they're doing. So don't be surprised, and don't be alarmed if there are news reports of reshoots that will happen. But this will be like, the tone would be similar to Empire Strikes Back. This will be a much more darker film than the Force Awakens. So this is what I will go in expecting, that shit will go down in this in this part of Star Wars episode 8, because you would have Raees training, you would have the final more understanding of who and what the Knights of Ren are, where the Sith are at this point in time, what is happening to the Jedi Alliance, what is happening to the New Rebellion and with the New Republic, and all of these.
Luke Skywalker will finally speak as well.
Skywalker and the entire backlash of Han Solo's death. Spoiler alerts, by the way. Yeah, so I think these are the major plot points that Rian Johnson has to play with, and I think he's more than capable of doing so. He has done it time and time again in Breaking Bad and the other major Looper as well. So he is someone who is very, very capable. So be very excited, because the Force is definitely very strong with episode.
So Riabaki,
Force Awakens really parallels A New Hope. I mean, almost in every aspect. So it paves one path for episode 8, which will be like, episode 8 will once again mirror Empire, as Abhishek mentioned earlier, like where we learn more about Raees' character and all. However, I do hope that this is not the path that it takes. I hope they do give us something newer, like maybe they should be, I hope they are brave enough to go in a different direction and to not really seek the familiar, so that just to appease us hardcore fans. I mean, I'm open-minded. I would be willing to accept, a well-made new storyline sort of thing. So that is what I hope from episode 8, actually.
Okay, cool. Anir, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I'll start again. I'm saying that they have to bring the A game with the 8th movie, with Rogue One doing so well. Now that because they have shown that there has all the loose ends that were there in the old movies have been fairly tied up to a large extent. So what needs to be done is to sort of move in a new direction. All the nostalgic items that had to be addressed to sort of bring in a new audience, that has been done. Now we need to move in a new direction to keep all those people hooked in, and for us to sort of see all the universe truly realize its potential, I think.
For me, I think more than episode 8, I'm more excited about
the movies such as Rogue One, which are going to be building up the universe around it. I mean, of course, like Episode 8, you know, carries a lot of expectations and everything. But at the end of the day, you do realize that Episode 8 can't take the risks, or maybe even have a storyline like you know what Rogue One had, because of course it's a prequel and it's building up to an already established storyline. Rogue One had a lot of creative freedom to do things their own way, and I mean things which I don't think the Episode 8 can take forward. So I'm really excited to see how the universe pans out at the end of the day, because all the movies in the main storyline, of course, they have to pander to the fans, they have to pander to the audience who, recently joined the bandwagon. But at the end of the day, it's, I feel if the universe has to survive, it has to be these side movies, which are able to, carry the whole, franchise on their shoulders. Because these movies are the ones which would actually, make or break the universe. I mean, because they are the ones who will be taking the challenges, whereas, the main movies, the episodes, as we talk about them, would be pretty much like, how in the Marvel Universe is the Avengers movies, which are run-of-the-mill stuff, but it's, the Guardians of the Galaxies or even Doctor Strange's, which sort of try to carry the universe forward. So I'm really excited by the potential now. So yeah.
One small thing, I guess. It's not a very fair comparison to compare something like a Doctor Strange or any movie which is not an Avengers movie, or any movie which is not a Batman or Superman movie to that of a Justice League or an Avengers. I think these properties, I'm talking about the comic book properties, they are well established. So even without an Avengers movie, if you tentpole those, they will work on their own by just based on their fan base, which has existed over the years. With Star Wars, it's a little different because most of these anthology movies are from the days of the Old Republic or the days of the Rebellion. So that is something, for every anthology movie, at least the ones which have come out, they will take you back to the past.
Okay.
So it will not take the story forward. Yes, it might build the universe to an extent, but this universe is something which might not be completely existent when the Episode 8 or Episode 9 comes out.
That's right. I don't think they're taking into account the expanded universe at all. I think the Force Awakens killed the entire, the one with Jason Solo. We still don't know who Rae's parents are. So
interesting theory I've read where she's basically making Rae Jesus, where she is a child of the Force. Which
no, they already did that with Anakin. I don't think they are going to do that again.
So they did the same.
The weirdest theory that I came across yesterday was that Jyn Erso was actually Princess Leia. Yeah, the entire time in the movie, and it would be
if I had read that earlier, I would have believed it. Maybe small part of me.
But it would have been extremely stupid, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't.
That would have been a prequel stupidity kind of thing.
Right, exactly. They would destroy the entire thing, and just because they cast a similar looking actress. And that would have been entirely stupid.
Just because we're talking stupid theories, can I give you my theory about Snoke being
yeah, sure. Also known as the most improbable and idiotic theory of all time.
What's the theory?
Hear me out, please hear me out. Now the scene is, and this is not me being drunk, I'm stone cold sober. This after the Death Star blows up, we have not seen Grand Moff Tarkin's death. We just assume that he is dead. Alright? There may be survivors, you never really know. So this guy has survived somehow, and what do we know about Snoke? Snoke is someone who understands the Sith and the Force part of it, and he is very adept with the military part of it, as it's evident the way he handles General Hux and the way he addresses Kylo Ren. Now you will need someone who understands this balance, and who is the only person in this entire universe that we know, in the cinematic universe at least, that we know who understands this balance and how important it is. It is. Yes, you're welcome. I really think, I will not be surprised that if Grand Moff Tarkin is actually Emperor Snoke.
Although it is mentioned in the movie, like, oh, bring Kylo Ren to me, I will complete his training. Grand Moff Tarkin never really showed, semblances of being a Sith-trained warlord or whatever.
Compared to Grand Moff Tarkin, I would believe that Jar Jar Binks is more of General Snoke. But I think Snoke is a new character. I don't think they're going to bring back any.
I just have one small theory.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so in the expanded universe and in the games, there's a lot of mention about spirits going about, spirits that train the Jedi, the Sith of old. So that's my theory, that maybe Snoke is simply a spirit or, it's a stupid theory, I know, but what the hell.
But they had a hologram of him, so I think, why would Spirit need to project a hologram?
No, because spirits usually reside in areas where there has been a great deal of force activity, like Korriban or Yavin, the temples of Yavin and Korriban. So maybe, that's it. I don't know. Let's see.
Okay. Cool. So with that, I would like to end our discussion. I think this has been our longest podcast to date.
Insane.
So that was our show. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. You can find my Rogue One review on the description. I would like to thank Anir, Mrigank, Abhishek, Pedro and Riabaki for joining us today. Click on the description for the links to the various things that we've discussed. If you like what you are doing, like this, share it with your friends, and most importantly, subscribe. Visit us at indiannerve.com if you want reviews for the latest gadgets, TV shows and movies. You can also follow us on social media. The links are given in the description.